Hello guys, this is Ray from nextforextrade.com, here to teach, not preach Forex. Today is the 28th of August 2019, on a Wednesday, and the time now is just gone 6 AM UK time. As you can see, I've got one open position still here, made up of three parts on the AUDUSD. And so in today's session, what I'll do is I'll talk over a bit about how I'm managing this trade at the moment, and have a quick cycle through other opportunities that could be in the market as well. And if you haven't already, do remember to like and subscribe so you can get notifications, so when videos like this come out every day, Monday to Friday, you can be notified to them, so you can act on the information rather than look at it in hindsight. So let's kick off and just see what opportunities there are, and I'll come back to that trade that I've got on at the moment as well. So looking same process always. I'm looking at the daily first of all. If you're new to the channel, look at the daily first of all to find value for money. So it's a trend-based strategy, so I'm looking for lower lows and lower highs, and for the price essentially to be in a good place for value for money, so to pull back and to trade it based on that. Go into a lot of depth in the other videos, so just have a cycle through that. Some of those you'll get a feel for how I assess the market. So AUD CAD at the moment, this is not a great trade. It's too oversold. Let's go on to the next one. AUDCHF. A lot of these AUD crosses are quite similar at the moment. There's definitely context for trade. I'm not looking to open positions because I'm already in an AUD cross at the moment, and a lot of these are moving very similar. But the play on this at the moment is we see there's a whole lot of resistance that we've got in the price that had occurred over previous weeks. So we've got our reference point of a stop loss above these kind of levels. So there is you could aggressively short the position now. Wouldn't be my preference because of what our lower times are lacking at the moment. So I trade based on time frame correlation as well, so I want the higher time frames to be saying also what the lower time frames are saying essentially. And if we look at things like the hourly here, so we've got the 4 hourly, 15.5, these are very, very flat at the moment, very choppy, and in fact countering, looking on the hourly here, encountering a lot of support as well, which is echoed on the other time frames as well. So for this, although our higher time frame has definitely got some nice signs of bearishness at the moment, I'd want the market to show its cards first of all on the lower time frames first of all, so to break this support and start showing definitive signs of lower lows and lower highs to make this a viable trade. So that may happen later in the later sessions today, but right now this isn't tradable for me. Same story on AUDJPY. In fact, the one prior to this was probably a better setup. Don't like the price action as much on this, but it's that same resistance that we're seeing across the top here. So our stop loss would be above those levels, and our lower time frames in a very similar way are just finding a lot of support at the moment. So if we look on the hourly or even the 15, you can see that there, this isn't great for trading right now. We want it to break that and then pull back to allow for an entry. So next, AUDUSD, I'll come back to that. That's the one I'm in. So this is CADCHF. It's a similar story. So okay, so on the daily first of all, we've got this bearish movement that I've got a standard deviation channel around. So this move here is some nice signs of bearishness. What's good about this is we can deem these as lower highs here and these are lower lows. It's not, it isn't a trend that's got massive amount of maturity to it, but there's still enough to read in the price action to consider shorts on this. So I'm just looking at the way this previous high, yesterday's high, had encountered some resistance here. There's kind of zonal support and resistance we can see in the previous price, but there is this type of toppy type candle that we see interact with the standard deviation in this move is a good sign. So with the way I'm evaluating this is we've got our lower lows, lower highs, we've got area of resistance, and we've got the price interact with our upper standard deviation channel. So that's enough to consider, right, stop above here and to look for entries on the lower time frame. So if we go to the 4 hourly, 4 hours not particularly, we can capture this same move, which is this move here. So essentially this is saying it's a bit oversold, overbought at the moment. But this move up here, let me just see how that, now this, even though this doesn't fit perfectly within our standard deviation channel, it's going more than one standard deviation as it moves kind of around here. So there's still context with this to say that this retrace here is fitting within this standard deviation channel, and that it's in an overbought type of area here, which is helpful in a trade, in that or a potential trade. What I'm looking at is that it's in this upper edge of its standard deviation channel, and it's also interacted with this upper edge here. So assuming this is as an uptrend, if you like, with higher highs and higher lows, and this is a downtrend as lower lows and lower highs, it's kind of crisscrossed at a certain point where there's a lot of confirming information. So this horizontal was that same resistance we were talking about, and it just means that if we were to short this with a stop above here, there's still scope to the downside for it to interact if we're looking at this move here, or taking this move into consideration. So see what the hourly's saying here. What I'd need to see on this, just going to take this horizontal here, to make this a viable short, I'd want to see this support broken in today's session. So for it to break these lows and then start to pull back, which would give us context in this move down here, right? So just use the 15. 15 is very flat at the moment as well. 15 helps to kind of clarify the story. This is some crazy support that we're seeing. There's more contact points on our 15-minute. So the reason I'd hesitate to attempt to short now is because you'd be selling into that support, and you want to kind of sell off of resistance rather than selling into support. So in the day, if we see it break past these lows, probably use a 15 or the hourly for context on this, break past these lows, this would be a good potential sign to short, because what we'd need is for it to break lower and then pull back to let's zoom in on this, so to break this area of support here and then to pull back either to our average or to our upper edge of our standard deviation channel. So that's a possible play if when you're watching this the market's matured to that point to make that viable. Obviously if these highs start getting taken out and the price starts to move much higher, it invalidates that setup. So it's one to leave and wait for another opportunity. So let's have another look. Another one. So CADJPY, no, not a great value for money. And this is, it's just one way you could think of this is just shopping. You're shopping for the best bargains out there. You're looking for good value for money in the price action. And if it's not there, just leave it. Wait for a better bargain to come along with a higher probability of going in your favor. These, no, too overbought. This is, no. Euro Swissy. This is this is a viable fade. This has progressed a bit more to make this possible. I've tried to keep these videos more about the trend trades, but there's an interesting opportunity on this. The trade just doesn't stack up quite yet, really, because of what the risk to reward would be. So typically in the videos, what I'm talking about is going with the trend. So looking to short this. Wouldn't really want to short this now because of where the price is, but there is scope to go for the retrace, so for the potential not reversal, but just retracing the price, because price doesn't move in a straight line. As you'll see, it comes down, it pulls back, goes down, pulls back. So what you'd be trading here is the pullback, or also known as a fade trade. So you're going against the trade, going against the trend. So the way to structure this is to look and, well, firstly, in terms of where the stop loss is, so thinking, you know, how much could you lose on this? Stops would definitely be below this area of support for me, because it makes sense on the hourly, in the daily time frame, and it's considering how much further it could retrace. Now, the areas where I would deem that the price could have some trouble getting through would be these previous highs here. If it were to break that, then viably the next kind of levels around where I've got this Fibonacci retrace in this 23.6 retrace, or even viably before it at these types of highs. So let's have a look at how that would stack up on the lower time frames. There's not much you can read into it on the 4 hourly at the moment, other than it's kind of flattening out. The move that has caught my attention on this is this here, which we'll look at on the hourly. So be looking to get on the back of this move here. So figuring out where the stop would be, it's about, what, let's call that 50 pips here. 1-to-1 reward to risk would mean a take profit about here. Which it's not great, because what I would want is for it to be structured so that the take profit would be before this previous area here. So if we go back to the daily, and this is where that 1-to-1 reward to risk would be, right? But I want it to be before that, before these kinds of levels, because it's just a good likelihood that the price will find resistance as it comes into that level there. So where the price is at the moment, looking on the hourly, it would mean that with a stop below here and a 1-to-1 reward to risk, it's kind of asking a bit too much at the moment for what we need the price to do. Now, if the price was to fall back and find some value and find some support off of our standard deviation channel, it would mean that our take profit would come down to below these types of levels, which I'd be more comfortable taking in a position. So really what I'd need to see in this session would be the price just to fall back a bit more and find some support off of our standard deviation channel. We can see there's viably a trend line that you could put in connecting these lows. So finding that support there so that the take profit is below these kind of previous highs, and the stop loss is below these lows here. And that type of trade I would only be comfortable doing, you know, my typical risk range is 0.5% to 3%. That would be a 0.5%, or, you know, anywhere between 0.5% and 1%. I would not be, you know, willing to take a position higher than that, because of, you know, it's going against the trend. There's not much room. There's no scope really to scale into it either. So it's a riskier trade in my opinion, and that's how I would attempt to trade that if the price were to allow me to. So next one, Euro GBP. No, wouldn't trade that. No. Euro JPY, Euro NZD. No. Euro USD too late. No, wouldn't trade that. Funny enough, this was one I was in yet last week, and I took a profit out on it using a protective stop. So where is it? These out of order. So it was this one here, and it was one that I was potentially going to get back into, but I really didn't have the candle. What I needed was this candle here. This candle here was, I needed it to be a nice short reversal type candle. This, the way I knew there was a good likelihood that there'll be resistance off of that level because of, you know, the previous zonal support here that we had and the way it interacted with the standard deviation channel. But this candle was just way too big to enter on. It would mean entering this, the logical place to have a stop loss would be above this high, and it would just mean that my take profit on even on a 1-to-1 raw to risk would be all the way down here. It would have to take out previous lows, so trade didn't really stack up based on what the price action had done. I needed a nice short candle for that, but yeah, I mean, still definitely bearish on this overall, but it's not really tradable at the moment. What's this? GBP AUD? No. GBP CAD? No. I mean, there's some nice interaction here. The way we've seen this bearish move on the daily, lower lows, lower highs. It's come up. It's nicely interacting with the resistance here. Previous lows, zonal support that was here, and you know, a few days ago the candle that interacted there. So there's good signs here to say that, yeah, we're bearish and the price could have trouble moving past this high, but I need the type of candle that would allow that entry. So we'd need to wait for today to close and then assess this tomorrow for potential shorts. Also, if you look at the lower time frames, these are all bullish. Here's, you know, lower, high lows, high highs. Although it has kind of double topped here, which is a good reversal type of pattern, but you know, it's just a pattern. It's not even though the pattern's there, there's not enough information to structure the trade in a sensible way for me. So maybe something to look at tomorrow, but not today. No. GBP JPY, no. GBP NZD, no. I'm looking for reversal candles as well, just toppy type candles, and this is a very similar one to that other one I was talking about. It's an okay kind of area. It's not great. There's zonal support here, which kind of feeds into this story here. But no, this isn't a great one to short for me just now. No, that's too late. When I talk about oversold as well and overbought, I'm using this standard deviation channel as a way to determine that value for money. When it's in this kind of lower edge here, interacting with these lows or past the middle one, the average of it is going, in my mind, into an oversold area, which is just too late to try and jump on the trade, because the positioning isn't as great as to where the stop loss would be. It's like catching a falling knife. Yeah, it's falling, you know, but it could easily reverse, and you just have to have a much smaller position in this, and it would need to go much further for your profit target to be hit. Whereas if you wait for it to pull back, your positioning and your timing is going to be much better. So this is just way too oversold at the moment. Too expensive. That's another way to think of it. You're just paying too much for the for the potential, and you don't want to overpay for something. You want to get a good deal. So this here, no, too oversold again. NZD USD, no. USD CAD, too late on this. It's good price action, but it's just too late, and it's a very kind of narrow range. There aren't definitive pullbacks in this, so yeah, That resistance across there as well isn't great either. You'd be potentially buying into that resistance without the scope of your profit being like before it. So that's two concepts to bear in mind. I did talk about you want to sell off of resistance rather than buy into it, and the reverse is you want to buy off of support and not buy into resistance. So that's the next one. Yeah, interesting price action. Nothing that if we started to see some better signs of bearishness on the lower time frames, might be partial to shorting this. Stop loss obviously above this lower high here, but all of our other time frames are still quite bullish at the moment, so that's a no for today, or at least for now. Maybe later in the session that might change. No. And Bitcoin, yes, view stays on this the same. Stops below this is definitely a longer term type of position. Stops below here. I don't trade Bitcoin. Forex is pretty much my all, but some people do, and it might be useful just for some insights on that. So the technicals on this for me at the moment, Bitcoin, it's just a whole lot of support that we're seeing on the daily, giving a good reference point for our stops underneath that level. We can see how it's interacted with our standard deviation channel as well. It's at the lower edge. So using that same terminology, it's kind of in an oversold area, which is good for being long. So we'd be buying off of that support, and there's a lot of scope to the upside as well. So as it approaches these highs or even these highs, before it gets into this oversold kind of overbought kind of area. So yeah, that's it. Oh, hang on, I haven't talked about my trade that I'm in at the moment. So this is AUDUSD, the position I'm in. Still got full 3% in this. Price action, I'm still okay with this. Entered it based on it's been a good few weeks this been in now, so I entered this on the 12th was the first position. It's now the 28th of August. So this is one that is just going to take a little bit longer to come to fruition. I've held it through all this adversity, if you like, but there was still nothing really to be worried about because I had a clear reference point of where I'd be wrong on this trade, which is if the price were to breach these previous highs. So at the moment this is still looking okay. There is something slightly worrying on the lower time frames here, the 15 and the hourly. So we'll look at let's look at it on the hourly. You can see how the price structure has started to show lower lows and lower highs, and it's kind of coming into potentially interacting with our lower edge of our standard deviation channel. So I'm okay with that. I would anticipate that it breaks moves lower and pulls back, starts to move down, but yeah, this is just one of those cases where it's a case of being patient, because I realize that as it approaches this level, it's probably going to retrace again, and that will see all these positions go negative again as it does that. But my positioning on this I'm okay with. I just need it to break this. It's quite zonal support to have a clearer kind of insight into what its intentions are. At the moment, this is just a really troublesome area, this support that the price is literally right now at. So if it breaks through that, that will be some good clarity that we're going to see this bigger move that we've got on the daily occur. But yeah, it's wait and see really. Yeah, that's it for today. Join me again tomorrow for Thursday's overview, and again, really appreciate it if you subscribe. If you have any comments, any questions about the way I'm breaking down the charts, if nothing makes sense or you want something clarified, let me know. I'm happy to cover that in future sessions or in the comments as well. So I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.